Oh, I don't know why I'm doing the old school way. We have modern technology, laptop, PC, and I'm just memorizing everything off the old school way. Because why not? What is up, everybody? So this video, I'm hoping it's gonna be very useful for you guys. And what is this gonna be about? It's gonna be explaining everything thoroughly in picture profile for Sony. Why would you want to say definite? No! Don't turn off that light! What are you doing? For some of you guys out there that may not know what the picture profile is, and it is a menu to adjust and change the parameter that determine the camera or image characteristic. There are many parameters out there, and it's kind of divided into four main groups. So the first group is contrast and color tone. Second is the gradient, which is like dark and highlight area. Third is coloring. And fourth, finally, is emphasizing the detail. So it's like the sharpness and the detail of the image edges. So for Sony user, there may be different picture profile, and for I have an A7 III, just brand new, has 10 picture profile, the 10 different kind, and for the Sony A6500 in my hand, only has 9, so it's considered like PP1, PP2, all the way to PP9 or 10, and which is very useful because you can save different color and image you use for different kind of situation. Once you change something, the setting, and you're using it, make sure you do not really ruin your kind of style. Make sure you like the style before you roll into a bigger project, because if you ruin it, it's going to be much more challenging for post-production. So what the goal for the picture profile to make your post-production a lot easier. Very first thing, I'm not going to be going and organize by the menu, but I'm going to divide into four different main parameters. First one, I'm going to talk about the contrast. The first one is black level. What is black level? Well, black level is like controlling kind of like the shadow part, but like the dark spot or the black color that your camera is capturing. And it consists of negative 15 to positive 15. The more negative is the more darker the spot. But if you go more positive, it's more foggy and more grayish kind of style. The next part for the contrast is black gamma. So what does black gamma do? This function actually changes the shape of a curve and the gradation in the dark area. So as you can see the graph here, it might be a little hard, but I'll be explaining it. And in black gamma, there are three different kind of things: narrow, middle, and wide. So what does narrow do? Narrow keep a dark spot towards a little more black. It is good to control the quality of black. And the next is middle, which is right in between. So let's go to wide, and you will understand middle. Wide make the black a little more grayish, like you're fading in the little black, and which is good to control the overall image tone. And what I'd recommend, I would start out at narrow as a beginner, and which is really good for S-Log because you don't want too much noise, and wide would might be a little bit more noise depending what gamma you're using. And now go level, -7 and +7. And you can see here the graph, this is -7 and this is +7, so the slope controlling the negative level. So -7 will be a little more darker spot and more black in the darker area, and +7 will be more of a fade in the dark spot. And as if you, it's a little more tip here in the level, as you edit in Adobe Premiere or DaVinci or Final Cut, and you can see the black level, and more negative number, the more darker it will be. And the more positive, the more faded, kind of like. And that function in the contrast category is neat. And if this function is controlling the highlighted area, which it does, it set the slope and control the curve point, and it's trying to prevent from being your image too overexposed or something like that. It set the point where it can't go over the exposure point. And there are two different kind of mode that you can set it on automatic or manual. And for automatic, the automatically set a point based on what gamma you're using. So if you're changing gamma, the neat will change it along the gamma you pick. And you can still change at some point in auto. And there's a couple things. One is map point, and the standard for map point is 100%, which is the highest, like the highest exposure area. And if you go lower, the highest exposed area will become more grayish. And the second part in auto mode is sensitivity. Sensitivity set to change the level, the luminance level, where you want your knee to start adjusting. If you set your sensitivity to low, that would make your knee point to start adjusting at a higher input setting signal. And if you set it high, it's the opposite. Your knee will start adjusting at lower input signal. And now with manual, it's based on your own adjustment. So I just drew a chart here to make it manual a little easier. So I'll explain this. Where the bottom axis is the luminance, and the y-axis is the video output signal. Right here, as you can see, is point. Point sets the level of the knee output signal. And with the knee slope, it controls the inclination of the slope of your knee level. And in a moment, I'll be explaining that. And if you set your knee slope more negative, which is going down, will make more of the dynamic range. And if you make it more positive, it'll be a narrower dynamic range. And by that, if you want to know a bit more of the combination to understand better, if you set your point higher and your slope more negative, your film, your image, or your video will be more like a sharper tense. But in the opposite, positive slope, more negative point, will be a little more softer, kind of like the image. And how can you figure out what is changing? I recommend when you go out with your camera and you point it up in some subject that have a high luminance area, and you change the two point and slope in the opposite direction, and that'll help you determine what you want your setting to be. Now we just finished all the settings that help you adjust contrast, which I feel like is the most complicated thing in your picture profile. Now we'll be moving to a much more interesting topic, which is adjusting color parameters. First one is saturation, which consists of -32 to +32, and it controls the saturation, or how should I say this? The more negative number, make it more dull or more flattened in your color, and the higher is the more richer in your color. For color depth, it consists of 6 different colors. It gives you each individually, and it's changing setting of -7 to +7, and that's changing the luminance of the specific color. The more positive a number is, the more darker the color will be, and the more negative will be, the more brighter that specific color will be. And finally, at last, for color parameter, is color phase. It's kind of like adjusting your color hue a little bit, but it's not exactly. Let me bring out this graph again. As you can see this color wheel here. Let me do this for you. So what is saturation is +32, -32. And this is what saturation color control. With hue, it changes by the wheel. By changing color by the wheel, but with color phase, only turn the wheel by 7. So, like for example, for -7 will make your image a little more greenish color. The more positive will be more reddish. It doesn't change the wheel completely, it just do a color phase. So this is a phase of color where -7 is greenish and positive red is just more reddish in your image. And my favorite part of the picture profile is gamma. Gamma changes the type of, it's kind of like changing the coloring of a film. Adjust the gamma curve of the images. And there are multiple gamma in your setting. It's like still image, cinema 1, cinema 2, cinema 3, S-log 2, no, not S-log, S-log 2, S-log 3, HLG 1, 2, 3, and that's basically adjusting what do you want. If you want your image to be more flatter in a high luminance area, which would be S-log 2. If you want to be a little flatter, kind of like flatter image in a darker combination with highlighted area, would be HLG. And gamma just control the output signal of your camera. And finally, last name for coloring parameter is color mode. Color mode controls the tones of your picture color and your video color too. And there's a combination. I'll do another video of this. because there's a combination of gamma that work the best with specific color mode. It all work together, but there might be limits in there each session. Don't worry, folks. I'll do another video on that. Folks, that's all for the color parameter. And, it's very short, very sad. And next, I would strongly recommend to be stay focused. Next parameter is details. And just like in your knee setting, in detail, there are also a mode of auto or manual. And of course, manual gives you more freedom than auto. First is VH balance. And that control the sharpness in your image that are vertical and horizontal. The sharpness of the horizontal and vertical. Like very useful for your faces, like your lip or your eyes, because it's more vertical, and that's what it controls. The next part is the B and W balance. It controls the sharpness in your darkest area and your most highlighted, more white, more black area, and that would control the sharpness in those two specific areas. Next part in the detail part is limit. It controls the limit of your black in the low luminous area and white in the high luminous area. Once you change that limit setting, you will notice more sharpness in the edge of the subject. And if you increase it, the black creates more punchiness in the image and white creates more glossiness of the image. Like, for example, if you're more of a jewelry is the biggest thing because the glossiness of the jewelry, it makes the create more sharp image in the limit of the high luminous and lower luminous. Second to last is crispening. Crispening is control the sharpness in the noisy area. So like for example, if there's a really noisy area in one spot of the film, and you may want to reduce the sharpness, which reduces the noise. I feel like crispening is the most useful in the detail because if I use S-Log in any Sony camera, I would want to reduce the noise in the low luminous area. Finally, last thing is highlight detail. It controls the high luminance on the subject or around the subject. For the way to easily notice when you're changing the setting of highlight detail is I strongly recommend I set a subject in front of a high luminous or whitish background, and you change the setting and you will be able to notice the change in that subject. Y'all people, that is all for today, and I hope that would be a lot for you guys to learn from, and I know it is a lot of information to intake, and I recommend start studying them. Make it to your style so you can make your post-production life so much easier. Well, that's all for you guys today. I hope you guys learned a lot of it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I would appreciate if you guys would give me a thumbs up, and maybe subscribe for the future video. Not maybe. Yes, subscribe. Stay creative, and don't let anybody get in your way. I'll see you guys in the next video. No, I don't care about the Goldilocks and the bear. I want to tell you what you did to my bedroom light. Can you turn my bedroom light to studio?